This is the detail where you have a UFP or URFP, and then you have a block on top of it. So this is for the end nailing, or for the edge nailing. So what you have is you have your edge nails are coming across here, and then you come up here to this block, and you come over here, and then you come back over here, and you do your edge nailing. Here you can see how the plywood comes, and then it stops right here, and then it's nailed into this upper block, and then that in turn is nailed into the mud sill, and then that is attached to the type A connector right here. Now, a much simpler way to have done this is you just take your plywood, and then you have your lag screws go through the plywood and into the mud sill here. This is from Standard Plan A. It's a regional guideline in the San Francisco Bay Area. If you go ahead and put these blocks in, you're asking a contractor to make a block, go 50 feet, from the access to, say, the front of the house, put in the blocks, which takes a lot of time, costs him a lot of money, which he has to pass on to the homeowner, or use the method recommended in Standard Plan A. Some people might be concerned that there is an unsecured shear plane between the plywood and the mud sill. When we put the plywood in first and then put the URFP type A connector on top of that. I'd like to point out this general note from Simpson Strong-Tie, which tells us if the plywood is adequately attached to the mud sill, we basically have a single member, and this should not be a concern. So long as the screws, the SDS screws that we put into the URFP are 3.5 inches long rather than 3 inches long. I called Simpson Strong-Tie about putting the URFP over the plywood, and their response was, well, we've never tested it. Therefore, we don't know if it's going to work, and we can only give it a value of 0. However, if you just use some common sense, there's no reason the whole system shouldn't work. And so you have to ask yourself, is it worth, the labor to put in that block on top of the mud sill where you have to crawl, say 40 feet, and bring a whole bunch of them with you and all that labor? Or is it better to put the URFP directly over the plywood and save all that labor as long as they should be? So anyway, that's your choice. No one can make it for you.